My name is John Collins, and I am a 74-year-old primary school teacher. The reason I still teach is simple, because I love it. I don't intend to stay home without working, just waiting until it's over. I teach in a very small town in the interior of the country. Currently, I teach a small group of just 6 students. Our numbers were so little because everyone is moving to bigger cities or places near the coast. I like it here. I don't have close relatives, but I do have my work, and that's all that I need. But last week, something very strange started to happen. On a normal day, I enter the classroom earlier than my students so I can prepare the lesson. After that, they show up. But last week, as my students were entering the room, one of them stood at the door. I looked at him and told him to come in, which he had no reaction to. So I told him again. This time I raised my voice. Still no reaction. As I was looking at him, I could swear his eyes became fully black for a second. I was surprised, but then they were normal again. He then said, "Sorry, Mr. Collins," and he entered the room. No more incidents happened that day, and the lessons carried on. But it didn't end there. 2 days later, in the middle of class, I had my back turned to my students while writing on the board. When I turned around, I saw my students staring at me. And this time, all of their eyes were black, like a demon. I looked around and they stared at me, no blinking, no movement. I was petrified, not being able to understand the situation. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath until one of the kids asked me, "Are you okay, Mr. Collins?" I opened my eyes and they were all normal again. Relief came over me and I thanked God that the bell rang and everyone went home. For a few days, things were back to normal again, but yesterday, something happened that chilled my bones. As I was teaching my lesson, again, facing with my back to the students and writing on the board, I turned around. Not only were all of their eyes black, but they were standing and pointing at me. I saw their mouths moving, like they were mumbling something, but I didn't understand what. Slowly, their mumbles became louder, and I started to understand what they were saying. In perfect unison, they were saying, "It's your fault. It's your fault." I had absolutely no reaction. They just stood there and just continued to say that it was my fault. I started feeling my body failing. I closed my eyes and started sweating. My body was weak, and then, in that same instance, I was transported somehow to a white room with someone in front of me. I couldn't move. I was wearing a white vest and sitting in a chair. The man in front of me said, "Mr. Collins, you had another episode. We might have to increase your medication." "Medication?" I said. "Where are my students? I was in my classroom. How did I get here?" "Mr. Collins, we've been here for the last 20 years. There are no students anymore. They all died in that fire. You blame yourself for not saving them, but it was not your fault. Mr. Collins, I don't want to have to sedate you. Please calm down. Bring the sedative." "I'm sorry, Mr. Collins. We have no other alternative. You are a danger to yourself and other patients. We will have to keep you sedated and isolated from the others. I'm very sorry."